As I said earlier, Jessica and I are heading out on our vacation in just a couple days. We're going to be heading up to Memphis, and we're going to take this opportunity to recharge, to be away. We're actually going to be staying in a cabin in the woods, and we're going to be meeting up with family members who will also be staying in cabins in the woods. And so that will be a good time that we are able to be away. And this week, we are not going to be having youth group, and next week the bishop is coming. So we haven't found people to substitute for us, but in the past we have. We've had different people that we've had to come. As you remember, Father Colby has come on Saturday nights a couple times this summer, and during the rest of the year as well. Father Colby had asked me to fill in for him while he was on sabbatical, asked Warren to fill in for him, and also when we've been gone before, we've had other people come and help out with youth group with varying results. Some people weren't quite prepared for it. Others were a little bit better prepared. But in all these cases, we were able to go, and if we were ever going to be late, we always had that opportunity to pull out our cell phone and make a phone call. Now, when we came back from Thanksgiving, now, 2 years ago, we could have used that because we got stuck in the snow about 6 times. But we did eventually make it back from that trip. We got stuck in Missouri in November. It was kind of weird. But we could have called. Could send a letter, could send an email if we got to the right place. But when we look at this parable told by Jesus, we have to throw ourselves back in the context of that time. This guy went to a wedding banquet. Now when we go to a wedding, occasionally you get a hotel room and stay overnight, for convenience sake. But oftentimes, in a couple of weeks, we're going to go to a wedding where we will go and we'll be back in time for church service. We'll be back in time for church service. But in Jesus' day, when you went to a wedding banquet, first off, if it was in the next town, it could take a while before they got back. Secondly, the banquets don't take 1 hour back then. They could take a week. A week of partying, if not more. The celebration, if people are coming in from 2 days away, you think they want to leave after one night? No, they want to be able to stay, to be able to meet with one another, and to be able to really share in the celebration of the new marriage. And so, when a master would leave and leave his servants, they wouldn't know how long he was going to be. They didn't know if he would only go for a couple days and be back. He could be gone for a whole week and be back. Or he could go and he could be gone and he could go visit somebody else, and they just didn't know when he'd be back. But Jesus is telling them, in here that you need to be ready. Because you don't know when he's going to be back. Now there's a portion of this that, we need to think about. When it's up to a week and you don't know how long it's going to be, it could be just a couple of days, it could be a full week, you don't know. I know from in the past, trying to stay up for a long time is rather difficult. I think the most I've made it is 3 days. The most I've made it is 3 days. And at the end of that, I wasn't worth anything. I had a friend in college who made it for 5 days straight. 5 days straight. But even then, he had to sleep. So in order for the servants to stay and be ready and be alert, they had to take turns staying up. Part of being the servants were to take these turns and to be ready to say, wake up. Wake up, the master has returned. Kind of like as we looked in the book of Nehemiah today. When we looked in Nehemiah, that was 70 days that they were building that wall. And as they were building that wall, they had to have their weapon in one hand and their piece of equipment in the other, and they had to guard at night, and they had to work during the day in order to get, that's part of why it got done so fast. Because they were constantly working and they were making sure everything was happening. But just like that, the servants had to be ready constantly in this case. And Jesus tells them that they will have their reward. I tell you the truth, he will dress himself to serve, will have them recline at table, and will come and wait on them. It will be good for those servants whose master finds them ready, even if he comes in the second or third watch of the night. Not only will they be there to receive him, but the master will turn around and be thankful that they were waiting and ready for him. If any of you have come in late at night from a trip, sometimes it's really hard to find your way. Trying to find, and we have this wonderful thing called a light switch that we're able to flip on. But can you imagine trying to light the lamp with fire in the dark to try to light your way? But instead, the servants were ready for him. The lights were on. He was welcomed. He was welcomed. And so Jesus says that we need to be like that. The Boy Scout motto is be prepared. Very short and very simple. But of course, the response from the Boy Scouts when you say be prepared is we are prepared. We are these servants. And that's not just prepared just for a certain time. It's all the time. It is all the time. And it's not always fun to be prepared all the time. It's not always fun to do that, and we can get distracted very easily by so many different things from being prepared. In our lives, it's so much easier to be prepared whenever we're headed towards some sort of joyous occasion or some sort of sad occasion. In those occasions, we tend to be more prepared. Just like as we go throughout the year, here living in Pass Christian, we always tend towards the end of summer to start being ready for hurricane hits. But the rest of the year, we're not. And oftentimes we don't start getting ready until they say evacuate tomorrow. And that's when we put everything together. Be prepared. Be constantly ready. Be ready at all times. Because you don't know. Because you don't know. Peter asked him, Lord, are you telling this parable to us or to everyone? The Lord answered, who then is the faithful and wise manager whom the master puts in charge of his servants to give them their food allowance at the proper time? It would be good for that servant whom the master finds doing so when he returns. I tell you the truth. He will put him in charge of all his possessions. I suppose the servant says to himself, my master is taking a long time in coming. And he then begins to beat the menservants and maidservants to eat and drink and get drunk. The master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, at an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the unbelievers. Peter asked him a simple question, and he probably expected a simple answer. Was it for us or for them? And Jesus' answer was, well, kind of both. But there's more expected from you, Peter. Because you're not just the servant, you're in charge of the servants. You are given this charge, and so are the other disciples, and those who are given this charge from this time forth, those who are shepherds, are under shepherds. That's why it says elsewhere, not all of you should presume to be teachers, because teachers will be judged more strictly. Not all of you should presume to be teachers, because teachers will be judged more strictly. Because more is expected, because they know more. And in that preparation, that's to be constantly ready at all times. Constantly ready. And for the person who's in charge, it's even more. Because while the master is away, then this head servant is in charge.